All right, everybody, welcome back to the 311 Odyssey podcast. Man, we got a couple of special, amazing guests. They're great friends from two different dynamics of the 311 support group. We got Marcello Ambriz, the renowned photographer who shot lots of 311 photos, did the Wild Nights video. The guy's just embedded in 311 history. And then we also have Ryan Siegel, the guy who started Los Stellarians with Douglas Martinez, X's of Evil, professional musician. And we're here to talk about 311 and everything that goes along with that. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Welcome.
You sir?
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Good to be
All
here.
right, so I guess we start this off the same way with everybody. We'll start with you, Marcelo. When was the first time you heard 311?
I think it was. I'm not an old school fan, but I know it's dedicated to me at the end of each concert. But it was whenever Down came out. That's basically it.
90.
And someone I dated was into 311, and I bought her the Blue album, and then I bought her Transistor in the same like purchase, and then I kept Transistor and I gave her the Blue album.
Nice.
So that's like the first time I heard 311.
Right
And
on.
then you had sex because that was probably the greatest gift ever.
I mean, if I could rewrite history, I wish that was the case. Yeah.
All right, Ryan, your turn.
First time I heard 311 was, I believe, on I think it was MTV. I'd come home from school, and parents would be at work, so I'd catch a little bit of afternoon TV before I'd have to go do my homework. And I'll never forget, quite honestly, it was the Down video that I saw on MTV, and at first I hated it. I was already into Rage Against the Machine, and to me, like, at that limited amount, I think maybe in like fifth or sixth grade, I think, and the rap rock was a new thing for me. The Chili Peppers, and I was into Chili Peppers, but not I wasn't really into the rap rock side of Chili Peppers yet. I was into, like, Under the Bridge. I was young, so it was whatever was being played on the radio. And so for me, 311 at first was like, oh, what's this? Another Rage Against the Machine? Because I heard the rapping and the rock and roll thing. And so at first, I just didn't fuck with it. I actually think I turned it off. And then I heard it again on the radio on Z100, which was at the time they played rock as well, not just pop. And it it kind of just grew on me. Like, I just kept hearing Down, and every time I heard it, there was something else about it that I was like, okay, that's interesting. They're singing too, so they're not like Rage, and, like, like, it just sounds different. And then I heard All Mixed Up, and I was like, oh, okay, so these guys are funky, and, like, I was really into funk. I was starting to play guitar, and I was playing, all kinds of instruments. So I was like, okay, these guys are musicians, and this is something different.
Yeah.
And so I just said, screw it, I'm gonna buy the Blue album, and took it home and absolutely just dissected it, fell in love with it, and I was hooked. That was it.
Awesome.
That's amazing. They really force fed down to you as a consumer, you know.
It
Yeah,
hit strong.
it was a good time for rock music, and everybody was trying new things, and MTV was still cool, and it was like you just kind of um yeah, I don't know, it was super cool that was the style that was getting popular, I guess, and the melodic stuff, and it was just, I don't know, it was exciting. Good times.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this is like true. I'm gonna make it up, but think about like the Bare Naked Ladies, like their first single. I actually thought, oh, this is another 311 because they had sort of like a rock rap element on that first single, and I also
Totally.
even thought like the lead singer's a blonde guy, and the guy who was rapping was a brunette, and I was like, this is like
It
an
was the
extra
dual singer
large version.
thing.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw those harmonies in, and you can't resist. You just can't resist.
Yep. Yep. If you talk to
So
those bands, though, honestly, like even Bare Naked Ladies, I bet you they were influenced by 311. I think 311 came first,
Yeah,
and I think
yeah.
at that time, like there was a lot of big bands that like you may or may not suspect, but like are probably very influenced by 311 on even like just like low key.
No doubt.
So
No doubt.
yeah. Well, I think we interviewed Zamora, and
oh,
he
Ty
had
from yeah
Hi.
from
Ty.
yeah.
Ty.
Mhm.
Sorry,
Tazon.
Ty Zamora. We interviewed Ty Zamora, um, and he talked a lot about that, just being heavily influenced by 311 and
hmm
coming up in those days. So there's
I
definitely
think a
bands.
couple of those guys. I think a couple of those guys in Ant Farm met at a 311 show.
Hmm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fun fact.
He was in a couple of other bands too that might have even opened up for 311. Did he talk about that, Jenny?
Yeah. Yeah, like he was in a band with his brother in high school. And they ended up opening up for 311 in like 1994.
Mm-hmm.
So
Crazy.
that was like his
Crazy.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
All right.
talented guy, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
We
very very
we
talented.
really enjoyed talking to him a lot. So,
All right, so
let's go into when was your first show? Your first 311 show,
So
Marcelo.
I was I'm a latecomer, so
Hmm.
it was '99, and I was working at Tower Records. At that time, a lot of like labels would go around and like visit the art department, and just to like make sure that the art department at Tower Records were making good art for like basically support. And I don't know if you remember, because at Tower Records you would have like a normal poster. Sometimes they would like zhuzh up that poster, but then would actually then do like crazy displays. And so the Capricorn people came by, um, and the head art guy at my store, I asked him, I'm like, hey, can you ask him for free tickets for a show at the House of Blues on Sunset? And he called me up and he's like, yo, I got you. I got you 2 tickets. I'm like, amazing. I go to the show, and the ticket was like, they're on at 9 o'clock. There was no opener, and literally came on at like 11. And I was like, I was already tired. I was so tired. And then they played like one of the obviously my first show, and it was amazing. I can't even remember. I know they opened up with Freeze Time, but that's really all I can remember from that night.
How about you, Ryan?
First time I saw him was in '97. I want to say, I guess it was, because I was 12 or 13. So we went, it was me, actually a friend of mine, this bass player named Tia. She was another one that got me into, she was a grade above me. She got me into like grassroots and music. But so I went with her and our like guitar player in our band at the time, Tim, and their parents, because we were like, we definitely were too young to drive, and it's a questionable age at 13 to be going by yourself to a show,
Right.
um, especially there's a lot of weed and all that stuff, but yeah, that was at Jones Beach on Long Island, and yeah, it was a definitely amazing experience.
Awesome.
Was it a
Francis
day
Victoria.
show? Was it during the day or
No, it
night?
was nighttime.
Okay.
And you know who opened was De La Soul.
Oh, no kidding.
No way.
That's dope.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
It's
that was
amazing.
crazy.
So you guys
Wow.
heard the music, and then you saw the music. Marcelo, when was the first time that you met one of the actual band members to start your relationship with them?
I mean, as a fan, I was in support of Sound System,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were at the Santa Barbara Bowl. And if you've ever been to the Santa Barbara Bowl, like the access to backstage is actually, it's not wide open, but there's like a fence, like there's a fence there. And my
Temporary.
buddy had overheard like a radio DJ say, hey, if these 3 people don't show up for the meet and greet, like the pre-show meet and greet, like we're gonna have to give it away. And my friends were all like, yo, someone's missing out on a meet and greet. Come and hang out in this area. So we all hung out, and then literally like the radio DJ goes, "Hey, do you guys want to meet 311?" And we're all like, yes, yes, we do.
Nice.
And we met them, all of them. And funny story, I had a dollar that I had given to each of the members, and they signed it. And later that night, when we were leaving, I accidentally spent it on a $5
Oh
T-shirt.
no!
A $5 T-shirt that some guy on the street was selling, and I'm like, I mean, I didn't know until like the next day, and I was like totally tripping out. And I definitely don't have that shirt anymore. But I'm like, oh my gosh, like what an idiot.
Oh no!
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Good, great
All right,
story though.
everybody out there, Marcello has a missing dollar. If you find it, please return it.
Please, please.
How about you,
You'll
Ryan?
know it if you see it.
Yeah. How about you, Ryan? When did you run across the guys the first time, fan or otherwise?
So my first time meeting the guys, or at least most of them, and I have a funny story about that time of year. It was '99. I was, I think, newly 15, and it was at Irving Plaza in New York City. And I was at that point, I had just turned 15, I think. So my parents were like, okay, you and your friends can go into New York City, take the train, and you can go see 311. So huge deal. I was like, oh man. So I had honestly, I don't even think I'd ever been to a general admission show before. So everything I'd always been to was like, in seats, like with my parents and stuff like that. So, um, I'm like definitely not, I was probably still like 5'2", 5'3", scrawny kid. And, so going to Irving Plaza, I was like, oh my God, like this is going to be crazy. And plus it was like, that was the smallest venue they had played in years. Um, but I stood outside of Irving Plaza hours before the show, and the bus pulled up to the side door because there is like, Irving Plaza. I don't know if you guys have been there before, but it's like just the corner. It's New York. You can't like fully block it off. And I'll never forget the bus pulls up, and I'm looking, to see if like I could see, and Peanut's like standing right in the window of the bus of the door, and I go like this. I go, and he looks back and he goes, and I was just like losing my mind. And so that night I met Peanut and I met Nick. And then I don't think I met Tim or everybody else until like the following year. I think at like Roseland or something like that.
That's fun. That's cool.
Hey Ryan, really quick.
Yeah.
No joke. I just wore these socks today, but look at that.
Oh shit! Wow,
Dude.
that's crazy.
Guys, so so if you go to Irving Plaza and you sell out the show, the venue actually gives like the band like free socks with the branding on it.
Yeah. That's crazy, Ryan.
Where's my socks?
I have the same story in New York City, going by Radio City Music Hall, and I was big into Wayne's World back on SNL when that came out, and I remember he comes walking out of Radio City Music Hall with a girl under one arm and like a blueprint tube in the other, and Mike Myers walks out and he sees me and my friend Brian, and we did the same thing, and he just mirrored us and went just right back, and they just kept on walking, but our heads exploded. That's funny. New York City's magical, man. Yep.
It really is.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did you guys meet then?
Must have been was it through Evan?
Well, I can't really. Okay, so there might be a few stories to this, but the one that I remember most is Ryan used to be in a band called The Rivalry, and they were recording at the Hive with Mike.
That's right.
With Mike from Alien Ant Farm, and they showed up, and oh my gosh. I know Ryan doesn't want me to say this, but I think when I walked into the lounge of the Hive, everyone was like crowded around a computer not listening to music that they had been recording, but music from like kind of like a funny rap group called Baby Mama Drama Club. Do you remember that,
Oh,
right?
dude. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, guys, I can't even. If you read the lyrics, you just can't. It's so inappropriate, but it's
Yeah,
just
would not
funny.
survive. Would not survive today's climate in any capacity. We know there was not. Yeah, that was fun times. We were
The
we were
Baby
very
Mama
inspired by the
Drama
Yin
Club.
Yang Twins. It was the Yin Yang Twins made by a bunch of white boys. And yeah, that was
Interesting.
Yeah,
good times.
that's what we had at the Hive. So they
Thanks,
met at the Hive.
Marcello.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You're gonna have people Googling and YouTubing videos.
Thankfully, I think we've been good about keeping it off. I mean, it's not like, I mean, I didn't personally say anything terrible, but I had some, there was definitely some stuff. But anyway, good luck finding it.
Well,
That's
that kind.
wild. So you recorded live in the Hive, and then that's how you guys met, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, my band at the time got, I mean, especially for me, man, it was like the biggest dream come true. I was working with Mike from Alien Ant Farm, who my band was touring with at the time, and then he got us connected with Chad. Chad was starting to do a lot more mixing. So he basically was like, look, Mike and Chad had become good friends. They had been opening up the Hive for some other projects while the guys were either on tour or doing other things. And so, yeah, we got extremely lucky, and Chad took a liking to the band and was like, yeah, come on in, and um, cut a bunch of the parts at the Hive, and we split it up between like the Hive. We actually recorded at NRG, which was crazy. Um, and then some stuff was done at my house back in Long Island, and but yeah, Chad ended up mixing for that project, and
Oh
that's
no.
kind of how we made the connection, like kind of through, um, I guess through peers, not fans, kind of like working
Mm-hmm.
together, and and then that's how I met SA, and that's how the whole connection to Ghostwolf and then Los Stellarians.
Very cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first thing I could find with you was the rivalry opening up for 311 in 2007. Was that
Yeah,
your first kind of like?
yeah, that was the first time I ever toured with them, and I mean, biggest dream come true ever at the time. It's all I'd wanted to do for like 10 years, and all the other bands I was ever in, it was like opening for 311 or touring with 311 was like the highest mark,
Dope.
for us. It was like
So
that's
cool.
all we wanted to do, and thanks to Chad and Mike from 311 or from Mike from Ant Farm, I mean that got to happen, but but yeah, that's kind of like how we became friends, I guess, uh, and then collaborators. So
Beloved, you got a shirt that says Count SA.
I made this. Did you guys
Oh, I
ever?
love that.
Do you ever see how SA was credited on? I think
Blue.
It was the Blue Album.
Blue Album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can I say?
So let's see how quickly I can tell this story. So I was doing a skate tour, and I was in the Midwest, and this was for Dare. Do you remember Dare?
yeah,
Yes.
My first paid gig as a skater, and we would go to schools and tell kids not to do drugs, or you couldn't skate. And there was like BMXers and skateboarders, and they had this whole thing. But dude, I was getting high every night.
Right.
um, so I was driving down this road and I saw a county essay sign, and I'm like, I gotta get that shit. So this girl and I, one night drove down to this. It's only like a mile long, and it's in Wisconsin, and stole the sign. And it's huge. It's a huge sign. I mean, it's like this big. And luckily, I had a K2 like snowboard kind of duffel that was just the perfect size. So I slid it in there and I flew home with it. But I had to put it, through. Like we didn't have TSA back then, but I definitely put it and gave it to him. And when I started, I followed him on a stretch of shows down the West Coast, and I gave it the sign to Essay. So he carried around for a little while, but I guess whenever Nick was writing out the credits, decided to put Count Essay from this. So this is the
Funny.
sign. And I had someone go take a photo of it so I could make a T-shirt.
It's dope.
Oh.
There you go. So that's the origin of Count Essay.
Cool.
It said
Wow.
Count
Okay.
Essay.
I did not know that.
That's
It's
new to
great.
me
I
too.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a great piece of
cut.
trivia.
Yeah, they do
Very cool.
County A, County B. That's how they name the roads out there. And then so eventually they have to start recycling double A, and then yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Wow.
We've been getting all kind of cool
Yeah.
and interesting stories along this journey with these different guests.
Love it.
I hope you guys watch it. Yeah, you'll see. Learned a whole lot.
Yeah. That's super awesome. So I actually was gonna say something before, but want to hear the story how my dad met half of 311 before I did?
Yeah, sure.
No way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so same year in 1999. I want to say it's the same tour. It's the Sound System tour, and my dad used to travel more for work, so he was down in Orlando. I think it was. I can't remember. Was it Orlando or was it Vegas? Pretty sure it was Orlando. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He was somewhere and he was there on business and he calls me, I'm back at the house. I'm like 14, 15 years old. And he calls me. He's like, "You're not gonna believe who's playing across the street from me tomorrow night." And I was like, "If you say 311," he goes, "Yep." I go, "Come on, fly me out, fly me out." Now I was doing dismally in school at that time. Like I could not afford to like lose a day, and this was like in the middle of the week. So I was like, "Dad, come on, seriously, like, can't you fly me out? Can we go to this?" He's like, I can't, like, we can't, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, well, I'm like, then are you gonna go to the show? He goes, "Yeah, I think so." I was like, "Oh, you
Ah.
motherfucker." Dude, I was so fucking pissed. So he goes to the show, and afterwards he waits and I guess gets a hold of I don't know if maybe he went to the merch booth and bought like a promo picture, like a couple glossies or like whatever it was, but dude, he ended up getting like I think everybody's autograph directly, personally, after the show, and came home with like a signed photo. And I was like tripping out because I'm like, okay, that's fucking cool. Like, thank you, but also fuck you, Dad. Like you like he met these guys before I did, and
Yeah.
I was just like, this son of a bitch. But in hindsight, it was a very sweet and awesome thing to do. But yeah, to this day, I was like, damn, dude, you really met these guys before I did. That's a trip.
That's amazing. That is awesome. Well, let's jump over to Marcello. Marcello, talk to us about how you got started in photography, and we have some photos that you sent us that I would like to go through and just look at them and let you talk about them. So go ahead.
Sure. So I can't remember what year it was, and I'm sorry for this, but K-Rock on Friday afternoons, they would do a K-Rock in Los Angeles here. They would do like remotes where they would go to a certain place in the city, and it was this one place in Hollywood and Highland, and they would actually have like they would transmit like they would broadcast interviews from there. So 311 was there one day, and I showed up, and after watching Enlarge the Show Detail 1 and 2, you kind of knew who the players were, so I had seen Peter around at a few shows, and I just went up to him and I'm like, "Hey, I'm trying to be a photographer and I'd love for you to if I could maybe shoot a show." He gives me his email address and he gets me a ticket to the show where, now get this, and so it was 311 was headlining, support was The Roots and Medeski, Martin and Wood, and talk about an eclectic
Jesus,
show there,
I do remember that tour too.
That would have been 2004.
Basically a jam band. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Basically a jam band. and one of the like best live hip hop bands that you'll ever see, and then 311. Like, come on.
Where was that at?
And this was at the Long Beach Convention Center.
Okay.
Again, 2004, I believe. But so I show up to the show, and this is as digital was starting to become sort of like commonplace. And I still had a film camera. And I would say that 80% of my photos look like shit. Okay. I gave Peter like the 20% that looked all right. And even then, they didn't look great. He kind of kept on, being nice to me and hooking it up. And then just to the point where basically refined my craft at 311 shows. And it was amazing, man. It was like they would ask me to come and do like behind the scenes stuff, and they would ask me to come in some of the photos that I'm sure that Beloved's going to show us. One of them is at the Hey You music video shoot in downtown LA, which, by the way, that corner does not exist anymore. It is now like luxury condos. Yeah. Yeah, that corner does not exist anymore. I actually live like 5 minutes from there. But yeah, it was just asking, and I was so afraid of being told no, but they said yes. And then actually, and someone probably you should also interview is Troy Augusto.
Yeah.
Troy, he was also like kind of took me under his wing. He's the one who took me to the Hive first with him, and just kind of taught me the ropes of how to act in front of bands. And honestly, if it wasn't for Peter or Troy, I don't think I'd be in the position where I'm at now, if I'm being honest. So they're really critical and important in like progression of my professional progression, but also artistic and whatnot. So yeah.
And for our viewers, who have you recently shot for?
Well, it's funny is I actually don't shoot anymore because it's an other 311 related story, and I'll get by this really quick. So I was on tour with 311. I'm sorry, I was on tour just with friends, bands, and stuff, and then came home, and someone was like randomly asked me. A friend of mine was like, "Hey, do you want to go on tour with New Kids on the Block?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, 100% yes." Like my summer was clear, and I told Essay, and I'm like, "Yo, man, I might go on tour with New Kids on the Block," and he's like, "Dude, I got you." So one of the current at the time, the tour manager was not someone named Dave Brown, who used to tour manage 311. And Essay was like, "Yo, I'm gonna write you an email and vouch for you. Send it to Dave Brown." And he did that. And then I showed up to this interview with like New Kids on the Block's day-to-day manager. And then he goes, "Hey, man, I'm sorry I made you come all the way out here, but we just got an email from Dave Brown, and he said that you're good. Get him on tour right now." And so, yeah, do you want to just sign this NDA? And boom. And basically had been working with New Kids on the Block as a photographer since 2013 to about 2019. And then because of the pandemic, everyone has like an awakening. I actually am now working directly with their manager, and I'm on their management team now. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, thank you. But no, it all really came about because of my connection with 311. Like, if I hadn't said anything to Essay, I mean, who knows if they would have chosen me?
Right.
I did. He wrote me an awesome letter of recommendation, and I mean, I'm here today.
Nice.
All about who you know, bro.
Yeah.
It really is, man. It really is.
And coincidentally, my first official real big band concert was New Kids as well in Greenville, South Carolina. So
Really?
It all kind of loops into around
Yeah.
stories there. That's funny.
You know what? It's so funny. The dynamics are always the same, man. It doesn't matter if you're a rap group or there's always like this weird and interesting dynamic between, you know, between like band members. Ultimately, they do things for the greater good of their fans.
Yeah.
And similar to like 311, New Kids on the Block are always thinking about their fans. And I probably, an interview that I've seen just recently, probably on 311 Archive, it's like 311 doesn't really thinks about like their their hardcore fans, and are trying to make art specifically for them because they know they're going to love it the most.
Yeah.
Right.
So you mentioned this photo right here. This is the one you were talking about, right?
Yeah. So funny thing about this shot, I mean, I know I have the frames somewhere, but if you had seen the shots 3 frames before, where Nick is, that's where Adam Raspler was. And I'm snapping the shot, and basically everyone's exactly the same pose. But Adam goes, "Wait a minute, I shouldn't be here." He goes, "Nick, come over here." And then Nick runs over there. And obviously just, and that's what you see there. And I, for the longest time, was like, and this is when I was like really kind of like hurting for cash. I was like, maybe I should just sell this photo, sell prints of this photo. It's a great shot. But at the same time, I'm like, I didn't want to come off as like a money grubbing sort of artist who's trying to like nick a few dimes here and there, because it just didn't feel right. But I'm kind of glad I didn't, because listen, it's a great shot. It's an amazing shot.
So this is from Count Me In, the video shoot, right?
No, this is from Hey You.
Oh, Hey You. Okay.
Yeah,
and Tim is playing the guitar backwards. I mean, what a clown.
Yeah, right. And this was shot down in the arts district, and that building behind them is no longer. It's, like I said, it's a condo. It's kind of depressing, actually. Yeah, it's
really.
It's all like that luxury. It's like luxury condos now. Yeah.
Wasn't it like a toy factory at the time, and then it burnt down?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
It kind of burnt down, I think, or I think they just demolished it. But correct me if I'm wrong, because I know someone knows. But Peanut's good friend directed that music video. Yeah.
Joe Lynch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. Joe Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you also did a little work on Universal Pulse.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, you did the Wild Nights video with all the stop action. Correct?
That's the one I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about that. I understand SA took most of the footage. Where was that, and how'd you get involved in that project?
So, I was doing stop action stuff just as like a hobby, and I think I showed SA some stuff, and he was like, "Oh, this is cool." He's like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "Really, what you do is you just take a camera and you just take photos continuously until, so it looks choppy, but if you put it in like QuickTime or After Effects, or I don't know which editing software I used, but if you put it together, it looks like a stop action." And so after they went to Japan, I think like 10 or 15 years ago, he was like, "Yo, here are all my photos," and I'm like, "Okay, this is going to be kind of hard to go through." So I condensed them all into like I would say something like 50 clips, and I just then edited them and tried to see like little spots where in the video where it would line up with sort of like some of the lyrics, and so that was a little challenging, and it was like one of my very first music videos that I had done on my own. And really, there's no music video if there's no SA walking around Japan with like his Nikon camera. So yeah, that's how it came about.
Cool.
I actually sent him that video the other day, and he goes, "Damn, I forgot we made that video. It was so long ago, man."
Yeah, yeah.
I know. So talk about this photo right here. Where are we at? Do you know where we're at here?
So that's I'm gonna be a dickhead about this, but the reason why I chose this photo is I think it kind of shows my access, right? Like any photo that a regular tour photographer takes is usually like from the photo pit towards the stage, but
Right.
like this is Red Rocks, and that whole day was actually really fun. Just showing up and basically shooting as soon as I got to the venue, and so, that's one of these shots. During the show, it's like you just see the wall of people. If you've ever been on stage at Red Rocks, it's just and if it's sold out, it's like just a wall of people. And this was just kind of just to show off like my access. And as a photographer, the best thing you can get is access. And another thing is you hope that the band doesn't see you. And what I'm saying is like they want you to be around so that they forget that you're there, so they act natural.
Mm-hmm.
And like walking around, there've been a few photographers in the 311 world have been able to like go on stage without anyone like being like, yo, what the fuck is this guy doing here? And I think Stephen Lashbrook is one of them, myself, and honestly I'm sure there are others, and I don't mean to disrespect them in any way, but there are only a few people that 311 allows on stage, and obviously it's sort of you get better angles that way. Yeah.
This one is great.
Yeah. What's funny is that so that's on the inside cover, I believe, of the Universal Pulse.
Mm-hmm.
And this is down by in LA. That tunnel doesn't exist anymore because they had to redo the 6th Street Bridge downtown. And if you went to the guys left, if they stood up and started walking to their left, you would go directly into the LA River. And I needed to like find a place where close to the studio where we were shooting. I'll show you. I mean, and B Love will show you the next few snaps. But I'm like, yo, why don't you guys just sit there and just sit down and like, and it was like this was like a few shots. In fact, I'm not really telling anyone anything new, but this is actually a composite because Tim, Nick, and Chad were like perfect. But Adam was like, yo, can you change the head on Peanut and Essay? And I'm like, and honestly, I wasn't that great at doing that stuff, but it took me probably like 2 hours to try to figure it out. And
Wow.
I swapped them out, man. Yeah, and it looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, this is like one of my favorite shots. I'm not sure which other ones I gave you, B, because I kind of forgot, but this is one of my favorite ones. Hands down, one of my favorite shots of Peanut because you guys know Abby. Abby's a yoga teacher, and for me, like him sitting like that, it almost felt like he was like a young Padawan at a yoga studio trying to learn something. I don't know. It just seemed like very,
Either that or it was time
like
to go bowling.
Like, yeah,
one or the other.
Right? Oh yeah, exactly. Those shoes, right? Yeah.
Dude, this one is
yes.
so great.
Yeah, that's
So
classic. That's classic.
That is a classic.
Here's the thing I love and hate about Essay is that he won't repeat. He won't repeat unless you ask him, like a pose, right? Like this is him moving around. We were playing Tribe Called Quest, and he was just jamming and he snapped it, and I was like, okay, this is it. And the cool thing is, I don't know, maybe you've seen this, Ryan, in the pool house up in Ojai, but one of like the most most well-known muralist in LA, who is a Chicano. His name is Eloy Torres. He took this shot, and he then sketched it out. He like recreated my photo into a sketch, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what is my life? I mean, this guy is like literally like one of the most well-known Chicano artists in Southern California.
We'll have to get a photo of that.
It's a great, it's a super sick. It's a painting, right? Or did you do it? Is it a painting?
I think it's a painting or a pencil drawing. But I mean, you guys might know Eloy Torres's work because he did El Más Chingón from Los Stellarians. That's an Eloy Torres painting.
Ah,
that one is so sick.
This one is great.
Yeah.
The guitar toss.
Yeah.
You don't see where the person catching it is either.
No.
So it's just he's throwing it into space.
Oh man.
Cousin Eric is somewhere off frame. This was at Merriweather Post Pavilion in 2019. Honestly, Merriweather Post is probably one of my favorite venues. Ryan, Ryan and I were there this past summer.
Well, they upgraded. I won't get into it, but it's the best backstage ever. I mean, it literally has a pool, like an in-ground pool, and like you feel like you're at a hotel at a resort. It's like phenomenal.
There are a few shots that I really like. I love this shot because he'll ham it up for me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun. He's normally like that. It's not like specific to me, but in this moment, I'm like, oh yeah, he knows me. And obviously he does, but it was just like this familiarity, and it's nothing super special about this photo. But it's definitely like
it's his
something
engagement.
That
it's Tim.
Yeah, it's engagement.
It's his engagement.
It encompasses who Tim is in one perfect shot. Like that's a classic Tim reaction. If he knows you, he will ham it up and give you the big show, and that's a classic Tim shot right there. That's one you put on your wall.
That's a great one.
Yeah, I do love that. And again, this is Merriweather Post, and honestly, forgive me guys, but I didn't want to like go too far back, because if I had too much of a time frame to like look through photos, I would have given you like 1,000 photos.
We'd be here all week. Well, I love how you colored this too, the black and white. And oddly enough, what's interesting to me is how the contrast really highlights Chad's drum heads, the marks on.
I was thinking about that.
Know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool.
That's funny you should say that. It's like how precise he is.
Right.
Well, that's true. Pretty consistent pattern there.
And there you go.
That shot. I mean,
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Everything about it.
There you go, Daddy Hexam's back muscles.
Like I said, everything about it.
Yeah. No, I love this shot. I mean, if you've never been to Merriweather Post, please do yourself a favor and go check out a show there. It's just a beautiful venue. Hopefully it's not raining, but if it is, you're basically covered because it's got like a wooden roof. But it's just a great venue, and like with an amazing band. And again, like this is taken from. Oh, are you looking who's on the rail there?
Seeing if I recognize anybody.
No. I was at that show.
This is taken on Chad's like drum, like on top of his drums, and it's like really. Again, like I said, like it's very rare that a lot of like photographers jump on there.
I was at
and
that
I'm sure
show.
there's going to be people.
I was going to say, Ron
I was
has
at
to
that
be
show.
Oh yeah, there he is.
There he is.
I see Ron.
There he is.
Like he has to be here somewhere.
They have a stop on the upcoming
And
tour at Merriweather as well, coming very soon. So I'll be there again.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
someone is
I
holding
mean,
up a towel from the cruise.
that's,
That's
that
the
kind of
oddest
looks
thing
like
to
Mo,
bring.
doesn't it?
It looks like Alan too, Mo or Alan. Yeah. A funny,
Guys,
like,
I have
quick
to.
story. Um,
Yeah.
whenever I was editing ETSD3, the bows are great. You know, they're just like a good finishing last of the night shot, and there was a microphone in every single one of them, like dead center. You know. So for this 311 day, like after the Ventura shows, I saw you guys. I was like, I messaged Essay and I was like, dude, get rid of that fucking microphone in the middle when you do the bow. Just kick that shit into the stands, dude. And they do it now. Nick remembered and he moved the microphone for like a nice, beautiful, clean shot of the bow. There you go.
Right. Oh, this is another. Like, it's like, they're done with the show and they're leaving. I like taking pictures of when the artist leaves the stage. It's almost like a relief for them, to leave.
Mhm.
It and not to leave, but it's like we've done our job now. It's time for us to relax. But what's crazy is Peanut's got great hair, but sometimes he goes and like shaves his head. Literally, like 2 days before this, he had a ton of hair, and then now it's gone.
Nice.
He definitely likes changing up his look. He's
Yeah,
definitely wanting to
yeah.
change up his look a lot.
This is
Dude, what's going on
geez.
here, man?
You know where this is?
This is
Well,
J2 Tone with their archival research.
this is at RIP Verizon Wireless, aka Irvine Meadows.
Meadows.
Yeah, yeah. And
Nice.
and you know what? Jeez, I wish I knew where these came from. Well, I mean, I
Somebody
wish
had
I
a
knew where
Polaroid.
these are at.
Somebody definitely had a Polaroid.
Those were mine.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Oh,
Freaking
wow.
Evan.
Young Evan. Wow.
So I remember the reason why Tim was like so laughy. He was like, "Hey, take a picture of me like we're enjoying ourselves." And then I'm like, I took a picture, and he's like pointing to his left or to his right, and then he goes, "Okay, someone take a picture of me and Marcel laughing," and I just jumped in like we're totally not. That's a total shot for sure.
It's not staged.
Also,
Not staged at all.
also let's note. Sometimes I feel like Jen, I feel like maybe you know this, but you can tell which tour it is based on how often Tim wears a particular shirt. And I want to say this is like maybe Universal Pulse tour, maybe.
Let's see. It was uploaded September of 2007.
So that would have been what Don't Tread on Me times, right?
Yeah, it would have been after Don't Tread on Me, in between Don't Tread on Me and Uplifter.
Yeah, yeah. But Tim is he's got great shirts for sure.
Oh, all right. Can we go into this dude right here?
Oh, sure. For sure.
So people may or may
Cholo
not know,
Soul.
but Ryan is a co-founder along with SA of Los Stellarians.
And Ghostwolf as well, right?
Ghostwolf as well.
Yes, I was not a quote unquote founder, but it was essentially Evan and SA's project, and then I joined in on drums at first, and then it became drums and bass, and then I just did a little bit of everything. But But yeah, Los Stellarians was our project. Yeah.
Talk about this album, dude.
So we made that record. So the quick backstory of Los Stellarians is that we had already been working on Ghostwolf. We had already done shows as Ghostwolf. I think we had put out an album, everything, and I want to say it was around 2011. Um, SA had hit me up, and he's like, hey, listen to this, and he had been buying a ton of vinyl. He has a huge vinyl collection, as many of you know. And he was just like really crate digging into a lot of old rare soul and funk stuff. And um, he sent me this record called Sleepwalking, and he's like, man, he's like, I want to do a cover of this song. He's like, why don't you come out to Ojai, in California where he lives, and come out, stay on, stay with me for however long, and let's just do a couple fun covers. And I was like, of course, I'm done, I'm in. So flew out there. I was still living in New York at the time. Came out, and I play everything that isn't a horn. So I was able to do drums, bass, guitar, keys, background vocals, all this stuff, and record these these songs. And so I was at his studio, at his house, and the first record we cut as kind of like an experiment was this cover of this song called Sleepwalking, and came out great. I was super excited about it, and so we just started doing all these different. He was finding these songs and sending them to me, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna keep it real authentic, um and that's what became Cholo Soul. And uh it was such a fun. I mean, everything about making that album was just so fun, and even the artwork and everything like that. We worked with my friend Alex Forzan on the whole layout and the shoot and everything like that out in Palm Desert, or Palmdale, yeah, Palmdale. Just I was going like, I basically went on Google Maps and Street View in every desolate area of like east of LA out in the desert, and finally found this like one patch. I was like, we're going there. And
Nice.
that car on Cholo Soul is SA's car. It's I want to say, well, I forget what year it is, but it's a Mustang Fastback. Um, and we had it towed out there because he was so afraid it wouldn't necessarily last. But car is so sick, and yeah, just had a fun day in the desert shooting all this stuff. And but no, I'm so proud of the music that we made, because what that album inspired was us to make our own originals, which is what became the Mas Chingon. um
There it is.
and that album to me is like, I'm so freaking proud. I'm proud of everything we've done, but that album is for me like really really special, um because it was really me, SA and I collaborating as writers
Yeah.
and making this, original music. And on top of that, we got to work with two people actually, very, very, very special to me. Um, Steve Medeo on trumpet and David Woodford on saxophone. And uh, Steve Medeo is most known for playing with Stevie Wonder on all of Songs in the Key of Life, and toured with him. And he's actually on Sir Duke, which is like to me the ultimate Stevie song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the why it's so special to me, on top of everything, on top of working obviously with SA, one of my heroes, Steve was a friend of my grandfather's, and my grandfather passed away in 2008. But Steve was someone. My grandfather played trumpet, and actually, my grandfather and his father were like mentors to Steve as a young trumpet player. And Steve went on to become a professional, and obviously he played with John Lennon, Bob Dylan, it's like so many different people. And I had never met him, even when my grandfather was alive. So when we were making this album, I we were talking about, man, we really need some horns. I think this really calls for some proper horn players. And so we started thinking about who, and I was like, you know what? I was like, my grandfather had this friend growing up that he always talked about. This guy Stevie Medeo. I wonder, and he's older guy now. I mean, in his 70s, and I was like, I got to try to get in touch with this guy. I've been meaning to get in touch with him for decades. Like, let me give this a shot. It's a Hail Mary. Let me try. So I look him up. I find an email address. I write to him. I tell him who I am. Tell him who my grandfather was. And a couple days later, I get an email back, and he's like, Ryan, this is this is incredible to hear from you. He's like, let me listen to some of the music. I'll let you know. He's like, I live in Palm Springs, so he was about 2.5, 3 hours away drive from where we're at, where we were at in Ojai. And so a couple days later after that, I get a phone call from a random number, and he goes, "Hey Ryan, this is Steve Medeo. How's it going?" And we connected, and I was like, I was overwhelmed, man. It was so cool, So we got into it, and I was like, "Look, I know this is far away. I don't know how you want to work or whatever." But he was like, "Look, man, I'm in for whatever you want to do." He's like, "I'll bring my best friend David Woodford. He played on like The Heat Is On. Like he's very like he's played with Bob Dylan and a few other people. I mean, like really incredible saxophone player. And so these guys came out from Palm Springs, and just kicked it for a day, and he was telling stories about my grandfather, and just all this cool shit, and we got right into it, man. And they cut, like, I want to say 4 to 5 songs in one day. um and then they came back again, and we did all this, I mean, all these great sessions. And sadly Steve passed away in the last few years, but it was an incredibly special time to be able to work with these guys who, I mean, to have their talents on wax is like
That's awesome.
amazing.
And
So
it's kind
Well,
of
I'm
full
gonna
circle with your grandfather and everything
yeah,
else.
like,
That's really
I mean,
neat.
really yeah, for my family too, it was like really overwhelming. It was incredible.
That's very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for our viewers, we went and dug up all the originals of the songs because I guess if the viewers don't know, these are all covers. We'll be putting together a playlist and having it in our channel so you can go listen to the original songs of these. And some of those songs are so effing good.
So
Like
good.
Sleepwalking's great.
Yeah.
Didn't I is just, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah.
And
It is amazing. So that's for our viewers. But speaking of Primo, I'm gonna do another little
well, hold on one second, B.
screen share here.
Speaking of,
Huh?
while we're on Cholo Soul, there's a little anecdote here. I don't know if Ryan is aware. So I guess when
Oh yes.
SA and you were picking the covers, going through, he found "Be This Way," and it was by a guy named Jimmy Gray Hall.
Jimmy
And
Gray Hall, that's
yeah,
right. I couldn't remember his name.
yeah. And the funny story is that guy didn't end up pressing a complete album. He had pressed the single, and then decided to go on a 30 bank robbery spree. Ended up getting shot after a high speed chase by the police in I think it was Big Bear in '84. And I just didn't know if that was something that you guys knew about. But SA
We did.
reached out to the Sun, and he was thanking him for bringing that song back to life, and also he had become a producer himself, worked with people like Katy Perry and stuff. So another full circle kind of, you know, little story there, but it's kind of a cool
Yeah.
anecdote as we were doing our research.
We did know about the Jimmy Gray Hall story. When I was talking to B yesterday, I was like, there is a crazy story about the guy who made that record. I was like, I think he died in like a bank robbery type situation.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was a trip, man. But he made
It's a great
that
song.
song was a total bet. Yeah, because it was also kind of like, out of all the other songs, it was little bit more on, I guess, like the blue-eyed soul type of side of things, and even the original is a little bit, almost has a folkier side to it.
Sure.
So, but super funky, really great kind of deep cut. Yeah, that album, man. And then Cholo Soul's got nothing but like, I will say, SA is an incredible curator and DJ, and he really knows his stuff, and he's really listened to his collection, and it's super cool, man. We've done so many other records that, I mean, so many other covers, I think, that still haven't come out yet. So there's definitely some more stuff on the way in the vaults.
Nice.
All right.
Love to hear
That's
that.
exciting for all of us.
When I listen to
weird... Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So when I listen to Cholo Soul with other people, and then they go like, "Oh damn! Like what is this? What they're just super interested in it." And I go, "Oh yeah, this is like say of 311," and they're just like totally mind blown. Like the range that SA has, like musically, and interest is like pretty far and wide.
Yeah. And he does have an insane collection. I don't know how you would know it all or even know where to start. Do you remember me coming out and filming some tests with you and SA in the car?
Yes, I do. Yep.
We set up a green. I brought a green screen and put it behind the car and did my best to composite some background stuff in.
Yeah.
It didn't look great, so I never ended up doing it, but I wanted to just to kind of see what it was like.
Oh, dude, I don't even know if I saw this. Dude, the composite, I like that actually.
Little behind the... Did a few different looks.
Oh man, I wish we dropped this, man. Now like I can't believe this was I did not see this. I've never seen this.
Gotta finish it for a throwback. You gotta finish it for a throwback one day.
Definitely. Dude, this was already, what year? That was 2013 or 14?
Oh, I can't remember, man.
Can I say something about actually the whole Ghostwolf and X's of Evil? So when I went over to SA's house, he lived off of like Los Feliz, he would play, I mean, that Ghostwolf stuff was like in the bank, like kind of like in the vault for like 10 years, right, Ryan? Before you guys actually started recording it?
With the first demos that I heard for Ghostwolf were, I want to say like 2006, I think. And they had already been kind of in the makings, him and Evan, for like years before that. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Ryan, I hope you didn't forget. I actually wrote the Ghostwolf song. Do you remember that, Ryan?
Yes. Which one? Yeah, we did put it on. Was it on the last one that we put out?
It's called The Love Divine. So I had this, honestly, like, I had this guitar riff, like this picking guitar riff that I had just been playing around with, and I was like, I was dating someone at the time, and I'm like, it would be a great, Valentine's Day gift to give this person the song. I went up to Ojai. Just Ryan was nice enough to like really zhuzh it up, but really it just came from like a simple chord progression, and Ryan then like, I mean, he did his thing on it, and then SA came in and he was like helping me with vocal melodies, and then we wrote the lyrics, and then I think they re-recorded it. I mean, they had to. They re-recorded it with Doug or with SA, and they put it on the album. And I remember it was either you or SA asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you mind if we use the song?" And I'm like, "Dude, please." I mean, hardly my song. It's like more Ryan's song than it was mine. So.
No, that's right. Yeah, no, that was awesome, man. I mean, that came together beautifully.
Yeah,
Go
it was
listen
great.
to that. It's been a minute. Super cool.
So how was the cruise?
From what I can remember of it, it was super fun. Yeah, that was some fun days, man. We were having both projects on there, and then having them kind of collide on stage was, I mean, super fun, man. I mean, yeah, those first couple cruises, man, we definitely had a time, and then I was like, you know what? I don't know if this is good for my health anymore. I should probably not either.
Well,
Oh
definitely
man.
the second cruise when they had the island show, and yeah, it was just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was.
Marcello, were you with New Kids on the Block when they went to the island on that cruise?
You're saying probably, yeah. I don't. I think I've been invited to 311 cruises, just never taken the plunge.
Yeah, well, for clarification, I know New Kids on the Block played on the same island on that same stage one year on their own cruise.
Probably. I'm new to the whole cruise thing, so they probably did that like a long time ago, because now New Kids do their own shows inside like the theater of the boat. Yeah.
Well, that leads into our final three wrap-up questions. You just said that you hadn't been on any cruises, but have you been to any other big events for 311 Days, or any of the album shows, or just anything that stands out that was a super dope memory as a fan and a friend?
I mean, the first time meeting them was, I mean, I feel like you can write a script and make it into a movie about that show. Like, for me, like, we left early in the day from LA. The truck that we were going to use broke down, and we got to the venue, and it was just all like a very beautiful day. So I would say, like, that day, meeting the guys for the first time, for me, like, I know it's not a big event, but that was huge.
That's a huge deal.
But I think on that same tour, they played Las Vegas, but at a GameWorks. Do you guys remember that huge? So they had an MC that day. They had an MC that day, and the MC who brought them out was Jimmy Kimmel, before Jimmy Kimmel was a thing. You did, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. And I would say, like, all the three, one of the B knows this particular 311 day, but it was the one where Peanut went around into the stands and was playing the bass during the solo in the aisles of of the arena, and I was like following him. And that night, we know B took the stage as well during the encore.
Infamous.
And now
Wait, that was Vegas? You did that in Vegas?
Did I?
Yeah.
He did in Vegas.
Well, because I was trying to think of that, because I was like, I was there for that. And I've only been to, I was trying to think if I had been to only one 311 day, or if I'd been to two, and I think I've been to two, because I went to one in New Orleans in 2008, and I went to...
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. And then 2000, I guess it was, I don't know. Anyway, so Vegas. I wasn't sure if it was Vegas or New Orleans that you got up on stage that one time, and I was like, oh, this motherfucker is dying, dude.
Dude, I got blacklisted for a decade. What's going on here?
All right, let's go ahead and watch this little clip here.
Watch it. It's too cringe.
Yo, come on! This is your day. This day is for you. 3-11, 3-3-11, 3-11, 3-3. This is for you. For you.
Oh my
Everybody.
God, make it stop.
B-Love's flushing.
You had to know
You know
I'd
what?
have that.
I have to say that setup, like with the, you know, playing to different sides, like playing to the back, I think that was like one of my favorite 311 setups, 311 day setups.
I wouldn't remember.
So Ryan,
That
Ryan,
was in 2010.
2010.
So, like, I guess I gotta have to tell my side of the story. So, I was definitely drinking, but Pabst Blue Ribbon of all
No.
things is what they had in the VIP room. I mean, what? And so I'm blaming it all on the Pabst.
The PBR.
But dude, like the encore, no one was yelling. Everyone was just silent. And you know, when they say silence is deafening, it's just like it can be so loud. Like that's how I felt, and I'm just going, this can't happen. Like, so I had to go up there, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm just gonna go check and see if this mic's on. And I didn't really know I was even gonna get that far. But Jesus Christ. Woo. I just finally got my backstage privileges back. Just like recently.
Dude.
Dude, they had me on
'cause
block.
I knew
best
who
thing
you
about
were. I probably met you.
The best thing
I
about
remember I
that
had-
is, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go.
I was gonna say it's like you waited for the lights to come up too. If you watch the whole clip, like the lights come up and that's when you pop up on stage.
Oh.
Footage of you, Marcello, during sound check at that.
Really?
Yeah.
Also,
Me and you-
something to note. Also, something to know. I'm sorry, B. Venus Williams was at that show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I have
she
a
was.
photo of her. I have a photo of her. And this is like before. This is funny. This is before I'm like, if you know me, I'm like super into tennis right now, and hopefully it never ends. But you know, I had no idea I was in the presence of greatness. But one time I went to Essay's house, and then he goes, "Hey, you want to check something out?" And I'm like, "Yeah." We go into his garage, and then like in the pile of like stuff, he goes, "Check this out." And I'm like, "What is this?" He goes, "You don't recognize the signature?" He's like, "This is Venus Williams' signature on like the handle of the tennis racket." And I'm like, "Man, I wouldn't have known."
That's amazing. Well, I'm glad she was at that show because now she knows who I am. Let's go. It was all
Yeah,
worth it.
yeah.
And so Ryan, you said,
Everybody knew who you were after that night.
yeah, no kidding. You said you'd been to the first couple cruises and a couple 311 days yourself, other than B-Love's shenanigans. Were there any standout moments for you?
Yeah. So I did. Yeah, I guess it was 311 Day 2008, if I remember correctly. Was it? Yeah, because it's even years. That's
Mm-hmm.
311 odd years of the cruise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did. Yeah, 08, 2010, and then the first year of the cruise, as when we did the Exes of Evil set for the first time, just me and Evan. So I was there. Yeah, cruise 2011, cruise 2013, and I think that's it, if I remember correctly.
Well,
It's cool. It's a good time.
2012, they did a cruise and a 311 day. So that's the one that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, that's crazy. I forgot that there was an overlap year.
Mhm.
That was
That's where the
ambitious.
footage I have from 2012, I'm pretty sure.
Mhm.
Got it. Okay. Cool.
Also, I think it's worth mentioning that Evan hates performing, and he
Yeah,
absolutely hates performing.
Wow.
And somehow he built up the courage, or just decided
Really?
to like, okay, I'm gonna do these shows.
Nice.
Yeah. I think he kind of forced himself into the moment, and he had enough, I guess, pressure. And also, look, we reinforced him just to tell him, like, hey, man, you sound great. And he did. He was, we didn't, we knew he didn't want to be up front and center, and thankfully the band, was so big and there was so many people on stage that like he just wanted to hang back and do his thing, and he killed it. It was great.
Yeah, he
but
killed it.
yeah, no, he does not like performing or being on stage.
But is super prolific though, very prolific.
Oh my goodness, absolutely
killed.
one of the most. Yeah, truly one of the most prolific people I think we all know.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we really appreciate all of the the work and help and assistance and passion that you poured into the band that we all love so much over the years. Everybody we talk to has great stories, and you're all to thank just as much as the guys themselves for being a part of it and pushing them along. And it takes a village. So I'm glad to meet you guys, and cool guys to be a part of that village for sure.
Yeah, no, I'll say it's probably one of the coolest things that I could ever talk about in my life is that not only did I meet my heroes, but I met friends and a lot of friends through them. So
we all share that.
It's truly an incredible thing in our lives. So very grateful.
Yeah, and again, we're grateful for you
Well,
guys. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So like 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago, Ryan? We went up to Ventura. It was 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
We were sitting on the bus and we were just all talking and stuff, and then and I don't say this so much as like a brag by any means, but it was like, hey man, congratulations on all the success. And then he's kind of referring to like me now working for New Kids on the Block. And then I told him, I'm like, straight up, I'm like, dude, if it wasn't for you guys, like I don't know where I would, I would be somewhere, but I definitely would not be here. So like Ryan says, it's like such an important part of my life, and it's it's just I owe a lot to these guys and to the community, and like if I ever wanted to boost up my ego, I just post some photos of 311 and then see all the comments and the likes coming in. So it's like super supportive, and obviously I wouldn't know B in real life or Ryan. No, it really is like a great moment in my life for sure.
Well, 311 has an energy. Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do this too, was we wanted to show, talk to those who are in the community but not super well known, and give those people some love, because it's all like a mutual appreciation and a mutual love and respect, and it goes all every direction. So we absolutely thank you guys for coming on the podcast today, and
thanks you guys
for having us,
taking the time. Well, you guys hear that? It's another episode of Odyssey behind us on the trail. We thank our guests, Ryan and Marcello. As always, we got B Love and the archivalist herself, J Two Tone. We'll see you guys next time.